look at this. This is a broccoli, and your broccoli should not be this leggy. However, you can correct them this young. So guys, today I'm going to be up-potting these brassicas that I have here under the grow light. These are some cabbages, broccoli, and cauliflower. I know that they're a bit early. I have them here in the pantry, just trying them out under the grow light. This is the first time for me starting and growing seedling under the grow light. They're not looking too bad after 3 weeks. So I'm just going to be moving them out now to the greenhouse area. I don't think I'm going to let them stay out there, but let's see when we get out there. So let's go out there and then we can up-pot and talk about these brassicas. In the gorilla cart here, we have a lot of rainwater, but I'm not going to throw it away. I'm just going to add some soil to it, some of this gardening soil mix, and also a bit of peat moss. So that will absorb most of this rainwater, but I'm not going to waste it. So I went ahead and I did the mix. I didn't want to go over the same mix again in this video to waste any of your time. So if you want to see this mix, you can go back to the video just before this one. I think it was tomato up-potting, and you will see how I did this mix. Just a simple mix. I'm kind of packed over here on the table, so I'm just going to be moving away a few things. I think we had onions in this one, and we only had a few onions that germinated in this, so I'm going to get rid of that. However, I have more than enough onions for fall. Everything that you see here is all onions, so this is way more than enough onion for us. This is over 100 onion plants we have in here, so I think I'm just going to take these on the inside also, and I have a few onions in this basket that I took from under the grow light. I'm just going to clip the top of them for them to spring back a bit stronger and not to get too leggy in it. But this is way more than enough onions for me. To make some space, I'm going to be putting some of these tomato plants. See how these tomato plants just got big? The rain, we're getting rain almost every single afternoon. So I'll be putting these tomato plants on this shelf over here just to make some room for more things. So for today's video, brassicas. This one right here is a cabbage, Sapporo cabbage. I think this is a very large one. I don't quite remember, but we're just going to get them into some soil. The thing is, your starter mix for most part, you have to upgrade them after these seedlings start to grow into bigger plants most of the time. These that we're starting off with, there are some cauliflower, white cauliflower. They're called the snowballs. So I'm just going to get these out and put them into some larger container. So most things in the brassica family, cabbages, cauliflower, broccolis, they will do well in the fall months. However, you want to put them in ground when temperatures, the highs, are consistently in the 80s. When the highs are in the 80s, that's 80 degrees Fahrenheit, I think the equivalent of that is going to be about, I think the equivalent of that is going to be about 23 degrees Celsius or something close to that. So if you're in a tropical place like Jamaica and you want to put your brassicas in ground, it's best for you to wait until October. That's when you guys are going to fall to about 26 degrees Celsius thereabout, and that is not a bad time. There and then you guys will be consistently into that 26 degrees Celsius. The next thing about your brassicas, when you're planting them in ground, if you're starting them inside where it's cooler, it will be much better for them starting them in the cool from seed. However, when it's time to put them outside, don't just rush and put them outside. Start slowly, taking them out in the mornings for them to acclimatize and putting them maybe under a shade cloth or under a tree where you have a lot of shade, and just let that humidity blends in with them and they start to get acclimatized with the outside or the ambient air temperature outside. Then after a few days you can go ahead and put them in ground. The next thing, a lot of us gardeners, mostly new gardeners, we tend to lose our brassicas when we plant them in ground. For your brassicas, when you put them in ground, ensure that you keep the soil moist for at least 5 to 7 days. Just keep that soil moist. As you can see, I'm sweating a whole lot, so it's quite humid, it's hot. Let's just put it that way. This is not the right time for you to be putting brassicas into the soil outside. If you're in, whether it be Central Florida, North Florida, or South Florida. For people in Central Florida, we can start to go ahead and plant our brassicas in ground October. October would be the best time. We can put them in ground in the month of October when the daytime temperature highs are in the 80s, low 80s to mid 80s. Nothing above that. Yes, we have a couple of days in our fall when we're still into the 90s. However, a day or two here and there, they won't kill your brassica. That won't harm your brassicas. As long as you keep the soil moist, they should be good. They will survive those few days. They will look a bit sad, but they will survive those days. And with these are a bit early for me. I went ahead and I put these in a bit early. However, I have a second set going in with that I'm going to be sowing. So these are going to be my early fall harvest. So if you have never started your lettuces, cabbage or cauliflower this early, you can watch and see how it goes for me here in Central Florida. I can't vouch for anywhere else, so I'm just saying for here in Central Florida, I can start these in ground early October, early to mid October. I can start these in ground safely because yes, it will still be hot, but we'll be having a whole lot of rain, hopefully. So we're still in our rainy season, going all the way through October here in Central Florida. So this won't hurt me. I'm still going to go ahead and I'm still going to go ahead and do a succession sowing in a few weeks time. And for the viewers who are watching this channel that lives in a zone 13, you may not be able to mimic everything that I'm doing in the same period as I'm doing it. However, you can do it when the time is right for you. I'm going to give you guys a few suggestions on people who you can follow, and they are in zone 13 also. You can follow these people, they are quite successful at doing it. The first one is Farming on the Rock. I'm going to put that channel somewhere up here. Farming on the Rock. She's in a zone 13. She garden in Jamaica on the rocks, but she garden into containers. So if you're in a zone 13, wherever you are in a zone 13, that's a channel that I can recommend for you guys to go and watch also. Also, Stacy, Gardening with Stacy. I'm going to put it up here also. She's another good one. She's in Portmore, St. Catherine, Jamaica, and it's very hot there. So whenever you see those ladies are starting in zone 13, that will be a good time for you guys in zone 13 to start also. And you also have Rissa. I don't quite remember the name, but I'm going to put the channel right up here. Those 3 channels, there are other channels, but those 3 channels, you can go ahead, check them out, and it will drive you to other channels that are gardening in zone 13. But I don't want to be selfish here, because I'm in zone 9B, act as 10A sometimes, and a lot of people are trying to follow what I'm doing. People have reached out to me via email. However, I'm not in the zone that most of you are in. I appreciate you watching and subscribing to the channel, but I can refer you to people who are in your zone and having the same experience as you, so you will relate to them more. However, stick with Country more also, because it's similar as long as you can catch it within the right time. But if you follow those people within your zone, it will be way much better for you guys. If you're up potting your brassica at this time of year, or even during the month of September, and you're in a zone 9 and above, what you need to do is, when you're making your soil mix at the time of planting, of up potting, ensure that it is soggy. Not that sponge-like feel, but drippy, soggy when you're up potting, so that those brassicas can have enough substance to start them and you won't be losing your brassicas. Don't overwater, but start them off soggy. Leave them for a few days to dry out a bit, but for those few days that you're going to leave them, you're sure that they have enough water. They won't root rot on you. And next thing that I'm going to share with you guys who are gardening in the fall season, there's a thing in the lawn care community that they call spoon feeding. During the fall months, it is best for you to practice spoon feeding in your garden. Spoon feeding is when you fertilize your plant on a regular basis. However, you're not using the recommended strength that the fertilizer package recommend for you to fertilize your garden, or whatever strength you would use, or whatever full strength you would use to fertilize your plant. So let me give you an example. If during the spring months and the summer months you fertilize your garden every 2 weeks or every month, when it comes to fall, we have shorter days, so it's less sunlight for your plant. What you're going to do now, instead of fertilizing every 2 weeks, you start fertilizing every week with half the dosage of what you will be using. So if you have a liquid fertilizer that you dilute to a 10:1 during the spring and summer months, in your fall months, you're going to dilute that liquid fertilizer at 20:1. So you're going to weaken it, and then now you're going to use it to do your watering right along. So you will be fertilizing more often. So for example, if you have a liquid fertilizer that you normally go in with during the springtime, or even a granular, and it would have been, for the liquid, it would have been a 10-to-1. Now for the fall, you make it a 20-to-1 ratio. So you add more water to it, and then you fertilize more often. So you won't be losing a whole lot of nutrient from your pots or your container or even your raised beds, whatever you're gardening in. I took about an hour break and I'm back outside. However, the brassicas that I took from under the grow light, I had to return them. They were wilting away under the greenhouse. That's how hot it is. So these that I have here, these are some cauliflower. I'm going to just go ahead, put some soil around them because they're getting leggy. They're outside in the heat, and if you don't stay on top of these, they'll get real leggy on you. And then by the time you plant them, put them in ground, they're just gonna bolt on you. So I'm going to show you a little trick. You have them like this, and they're outside in the heat, already germinated, become seedling, growing, growth phase has started. You can just go ahead here and you can just pack some dirt around them. And what you're going to do, this is just going to reset them. So you just pack your soil around it and this will reset them. I'm also going to be hitting these with a little liquid fertilizer because they're going to be on the inside. And once I have the plants on the inside, I don't use any form of manure on the inside because most of the time the AC will take the smell of the rabbit manure that I normally use in my garden. However, the beds are over there. I'm going to take you guys in and show you them. I've already gone ahead and do everything that is supposed to be done with those beds that I'm going to be growing into that I'm going to be growing in during the fall season. So we're just going like this. So we have the plants, they're leggy. We're just going in and topping them up, enriching them with some more soil. I think this soil mix has a bit of cow manure by the smell of it. However, it is not hot because I've had this mix laid down on the ground over there for over a month now. Plus it was at the landscaping company for quite a while. So it is all good to be used in your pots now. But there's just that little stinge of cow manure smell in it, same way. So I'm just going to go in with all of these and put more soil on them like this, and then I'm going to be moving them inside underneath the grow light just for them not to get too leggy. Look at this. This is a broccoli, and your broccoli should not be this leggy. However, you can correct them this young. And something not on this topic, not on the topic of brassicas, but if you have planted squash or zucchini this year and you're wondering why your squashes and zucchinis aren't doing good, it is because the shift in the moon phase. There's a slight shift in the moon and the reflection throughout the full and new moon stage every 6 to 7 years. And because of that, it sometimes causes more pest load, and it will affect the way how your pumpkin, squash, zucchinis, how they grow overall, how they grow and how they bear. So you will get a change in your squashes, pumpkin, zucchinis every 6 to 7 years. And if you're gardening or farming for that long, you will notice it. And if you have planted squash or zucchini this year, you may have noticed it. I know someone may come up in the comment section and say that no, their squash and zucchini did well. That's just you. But for most, this wasn't a good year, or it isn't a good year. for squashes and zucchinis, also pumpkins. Seminal pumpkins will do well in this moon phase throughout this year 2025, but next year will be the rebirth of squashes and zucchini. So just remember with your brassicas, they thrive in cooler temperatures and they are susceptible to heat. They bolt in heat. So you can't plant brassicas year round unless you're going to have them in a greenhouse where you're controlling the temperature. But otherwise, you're fighting a losing battle if you try to plant these things year round. So plant by the season, plant by the moon. And for these brassicas and most of my leafy greens, what I normally use on them is diluted rabbit manure just on the ground around them. You can go back and look at one of my first videos back in February. You can find it, the ratio and how to mix it. There, it is especially good for your broadleaf and leafy greens. Don't put it on your carrots and your garlic, your onions. Don't go in with any form of urine on those, or else they won't store properly. The nitrogen content will give them rings. Rings is just too much nitrogen from urine that forms on the inside of root plants, and when it's time for you to store them, they start rot from the inside out. So do not put rabbit urine on your root crop if you're going to store them. If you're not going to store them, it is okay. It is the king. Rabbit urine, rabbit manure, it is the king. And I'm saying this from many years of experience doing this, so I can tell you a thing or two about it. Don't put them on your root crops. Here we have the beds with the rabbit manure in them all over. You can see those balls, they're all the rabbit manure. I've been putting in these and I've been turning it for the past 3.5 months now, since I've established this garden area over here. So this is all rabbit manure on a daily basis. Every 2 to 3 weeks I'll turn it, mix it in, and I also just dump the rabbit urine in the soil. I've been up all morning. I played in the Central Florida over 40 league this morning, so I'm quite tired. It's a Sunday league that we play here, soccer, football that is, and this is my first time in the league because I normally play with the younger guys, but then I just wanted to get a change, start playing with my age group. So I'm now in the over 40s league, so wish me all the best so that I can score a few goals. I'm going to get some rest now, see what else I can do for the remainder of the day, if I can do anything else, because we get rain by about 3 every afternoon. So let's see. If not, I'll be back in the garden tomorrow, Monday. I think I'll be publishing this video on Wednesday. I didn't get to publish 2 videos last week. I only published 1 last week, but this week I'll be back to my regular routine. I've been a bit busy, so I'm going to make up for it, guys. And remember, I have a new host on this channel that is going to join me in the next video. So that video will be coming up on Saturday. So go down in the comment section and just make a guess of who or what you think my new host is going to be. That's going to be it from Country Morrow. See you all in the next one. Be blessed and cheers.